I'm Alicia Bonas and I teach at General Wolfe Elementary, and I've been using the Jump Math program for going on 6 years now. And what I found is before I started using Jump Math, I was struggling as a math teacher. I struggled as a math student when I was in school, and when I went into the education program, I needed to take a special course to get into education because I hadn't been successful in math. And it's always been something that I struggled with and really disliked and did not think I was good at. So when I started teaching math, I really felt like I was kind of faking it, trying to figure it out as I went along, and not feeling like I was giving my students what they needed. And I started to feel more confident after a few years, and at that time I was using the Journeys math program. And when the new textbooks came out, I began to struggle more as a teacher, and I found that my students were struggling more. The new math textbooks are very heavily language based, and a lot of problem solving, but I found really without scaffolding and giving the children tools for how to problem solve. So we tried that for about a year, and it was not successful for myself or my students. Even my students that had typically been top math students or who had really excelled were having a lot of trouble with it. So at that time I had an SEA in my class, and she had been using the Jump Math program, and she brought in one of the Jump at Home books. And so we started supplementing our math program with that and just, doing a few pages at a time with the students. And right away I began to see such a difference in, first of all, their success and their understanding, and also in my ability to actually teach. So I found that I was understanding the math more, the students were understanding the math, they were being successful, and slowly I found myself only using the Jump Math. I decided to go to the training, and once I'd been at the training and I'd heard John Mighton speak and I'd heard other teachers talk about the successes they were having, basically that day I just decided, okay, I'm going for it, and I know this is working so far, and let's see how this goes. So I was very fortunate to have a class that I started with a 3-4. The following year was a grade 4, and the year after that was 4-5. So I actually had a small cohort in that class that I had from grade 3 through grade 4 and grade 5. And so we started the Jump Math when they were in grade 3, and right away, just the confidence, the success that the students were having was so evident. I had quite a few special needs students in the class, at least probably a third of the class ESL, so quite a range of abilities and experience, and some students who just were always exceeding at math, others who were at least 2 or 3 years behind. And one particular student who was doing, in grade 3, was doing about grade 1 math. And so once we started using the Jump Math books, what I found right away was that all of the students were working in the same math book. They were all able to understand and work from the Jump Math, whereas before, a couple of them had math books from grade 1 or grade 2 and were quite self-conscious about having these other math books from the other students. So right away the confidence developed through that, feeling like they were working at their grade level. And so this particular group, by the time they were in grade 4 and grade 5, were just like different people. Just the success that they had in the math was carrying over for them into other subject areas. They were more confident just in general at school. They were more excited. They loved math. It became our favorite time of the day, our favorite subject. And so for myself, aside from seeing their confidence develop, my confidence greatly developed, because before this I had really felt like I was constantly struggling to understand the math myself. And through teaching the jump math, I began to have a much deeper understanding of what I was teaching and of the concepts. And so over the years, that's really inspired me as a teacher to learn more and to keep developing. And I find it quite ironic that I did come from a background where I hated math and didn't do well in math, and now I've gone on to enter the master's program in math education at UBC, and I'm absolutely loving it, and I'm having great success with math. My students are having great success, and originally I was one classroom in my school that was using the jump math program for the first few years, and what started to happen was the other teachers were seeing the success that my students were having, and then parents as well were seeing the success. And one of the problems was the students were going from a jump math classroom to a classroom that was using a different textbook and really a different kind of philosophy of teaching. And those students were doing better than they had been doing before they had learned the jump math, but they were struggling again. And one of the forces that was happening in the school is that the parents were saying, my child was very successful with the jump math, and why are they not as successful using this other math program? So a lot of the teachers did begin to evaluate what they were using, and at this time most of the classes in the school are using the jump math, and everyone is having the same success with it. And the continuity is great, that they can now, if they start in grade 2 or grade 3, and they can follow through all the way till grade 7 using the jump math. And it's just really even changed the dynamic of our school and of many of the students. I have students who first day of school would say, I hate math, it's my worst subject, and within weeks, especially after doing the fractions unit, would be raving about math. And I love math, and at conferences telling their parents, when they had to answer the question, what am I good at, or what are my strengths, they would then be saying, math, I'm good at fractions, it's my favorite subject. So a huge change in them. And a student I can think of in particular who had been struggling in math and also been having some kind of social issues and some acting out in class, and he really, once he started to have success with the math, he just really changed his focus, and he went on to be on student council, and he's just had more success in his other subject areas. And it's just amazing to see the transformation that happens in the children, in the teachers. I had student-led conferences last night, and how many parents came in and said, this is the best thing that's ever happened to our child. They look at the jump math books in their desk and say, oh, I don't know what we did before this, because these are children who would go home crying about math, and now they go home excited about math and telling their parents how excited they are, getting A's on their tests, and their marks going up on their report cards, and the parents are seeing such a change. So it's really become a fundamental difference in our school.